I woke up in a hospital bed on a Thursday morning in late September, tubes running from my arms, machines beeping steadily beside me, and my sister Lauren sitting in the corner chair with a look on her face I'd never seen before. Not concern, not relief that I was awake. Guilt. Lauren? My voice came out hoarse from the breathing tube they'd removed earlier that morning. How long was I out? She stood up quickly, too quickly, and came to my bedside. Diana. Oh, thank God you're awake. It's been 11 days. You had us so worried. 11 days. I tried to remember what happened. The car accident on the I-10, the semi-truck that ran the red light, my Honda Civic crumpling like paper. Then nothing. The kids? I asked, panic rising in my chest. Sophie and Tyler. They're fine. They weren't with you, remember? You were coming home from work. Right. It was a Tuesday evening, September 10th. I'd been working late at the dental office where I was the office manager. The kids were at home with my ex-husband Marcus, who had them for his custody week. Where are they now? I asked. Lauren looked away. They're with Mom and Dad. Marcus had to go back to California for work, some emergency project. Something in her voice made my stomach clench. Lauren, what's wrong? Nothing. You just need to focus on getting better. The doctors said, don't lie to me. I pushed myself up on the pillows, ignoring the pain shooting through my ribs. What happened? What aren't you telling me? She opened her mouth, closed it. Then tears filled her eyes. Your house, she whispered. Diana, I'm so sorry. Marcus sold your house. The words didn't make sense. What? While you were in the coma. He had power of attorney for the kids' emergencies, and he used it to— Her voice broke. He sold your house. He said you couldn't afford it anymore, that with the medical bills and you being unable to work, it was the responsible thing to do. I stared at her. My house. The house I bought 7 years ago. The house where Sophie and Tyler live. He sold it. The sale closed yesterday. The new owners take possession in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? My heart was pounding so hard the machine started beeping faster. Lauren, that's my house. I'm on the deed. He can't just sell it without my signature. She wouldn't meet my eyes. He forged your signature. He told the title company you were unable to sign due to medical incapacity, and he had power of attorney. He showed them the hospital records. The room started spinning. Where's the money? If he sold my house, where did the money go? He said it went to pay your medical bills and to set up a fund for the kids' care while you recover. How much did he sell it for? Lauren's silence was answer enough. Lauren, how much? $285,000. My house was worth $420,000. I'd checked the Zillow estimate just a month ago. Marcus had sold my house for $135,000 less than its value. He stole from me, I said quietly. While I was unconscious and fighting for my life, my ex-husband stole my house. Diana, I tried to stop him. When I found out what he was doing, I called lawyers, I went to the police, but everyone said that with the power of attorney for emergencies and you being in a coma— She was crying now. I'm so sorry. I should have done more. I should have— Where is he now? He left for California 3 days ago. He said he needed to get back to work. Of course he did. Marcus always ran when things got complicated. My name is Diana Marie Monroe. I'm 47 years old. I've lived in Phoenix, Arizona for 12 years. 7 years ago, after my divorce from Marcus Hayes, I bought a beautiful 3-bedroom house in the Arcadia neighborhood with money I'd saved working 2 jobs and a small inheritance from my grandmother. I raised my 2 kids there, Sophie, who's 14, and Tyler, who's 11. That house was everything to me. It was security. It was stability. It was proof that I could build a life on my own. And while I lay unconscious in a hospital bed with a skull fracture and internal bleeding, Marcus took it all. The doctor came in an hour later. Dr. Patel, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, reviewed my charts and explained my injuries. Traumatic brain injury. 3 broken ribs. Ruptured spleen that required surgery. I'd been in an induced coma for the first week, then naturally unconscious for 4 more days. "You're very lucky to be alive," she said. "The truck driver who hit you walked away with minor injuries, but your car was totaled. If you hadn't been wearing your seatbelt—" "When can I go home?" I interrupted. She looked at me carefully. "Your sister told you about the house situation?" So everyone knew. "Yes." "Diana, you need at least another week here for observation. Then you'll need several weeks of recovery at home. You can't work for at least 2 months. Your brain needs time to heal." "I don't have a home to recover in, and I can't afford to not work for 2 months. You have short-term disability through your employer, correct? And the truck driver's insurance will cover your medical bills and likely provide a settlement." Insurance. Settlement. None of that helped me right now. Right now, I was homeless. Lauren stayed with me all day, bringing me terrible hospital food and trying to keep me calm. My parents came that evening with Sophie and Tyler. The kids ran to my bedside, careful not to hug me too hard. Sophie was crying. Tyler tried to be brave, but his chin was trembling. "Mom, you're okay," Sophie whispered. "We thought you were going to die." "I'm okay, baby. I'm right here." I looked at my parents over their heads. My father's jaw was tight with anger. My mother's eyes were red from crying. After the kids went to get snacks from the vending machine with Lauren, my father sat down heavily in the visitor's chair. "I want to kill him," he said quietly. "Marcus, I want to kill him for what he did." "Dad?" "No, Diana. What he did is unforgivable. You're lying here recovering from a coma, and he swoops in like a vulture and steals your house. Your home, where his own children live." "Where are Sophie and Tyler going to live?" I asked. "If the new owners take possession in 2 weeks." "With us," my mother said firmly. "You and the kids will stay with us while you recover. We have the space." My parents lived in a small 2-bedroom house in Tempe. They didn't have space. But what choice did I have? "I'm going to fight this," I said. "I'm going to get my house back." My father shook his head. "Honey, I called 3 lawyers today." They all said the same thing. Marcus had legal power of attorney for emergencies involving the kids. You were incapacitated. The sale is legally binding. Even if we prove he sold it below market value, even if we prove he misused the power of attorney, the sale itself can't be reversed. The new owners bought in good faith. So I just lose everything? My house, my equity, my stability? We might be able to sue Marcus for damages, make him pay you the difference between what he sold it for and what it was worth. But that could take years. Years. I didn't have years. That night, alone in my hospital room with only the beeping machines for company, I cried. Not polite tears. Ugly, choking sobs that made my broken ribs scream with pain. I had worked so hard. After the divorce, I'd taken every extra shift I could get. I'd skipped meals to save money. I'd bought that house with my own sweat and sacrifice. And Marcus who'd left me for his 28-year-old coworker who'd fought me on child support, who saw Sophie and Tyler 6 days a month if we were lucky, had stolen it while I was fighting for my life. But as I lay there in the dark, something shifted inside me. Not sadness anymore, not despair. Rage, cold, clear, focused rage. Marcus thought he'd won. He thought he'd taken everything from me while I was too weak to fight back. But he'd forgotten something important. That house wasn't just mine because I'd bought it. It was mine because my grandmother had helped me. And my grandmother, God rest her soul, had been a very thorough woman. Lauren came back early the next morning with coffee and a change of clothes. I was already sitting up, pain be damned, making a list on the hospital notepad. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Fighting back." "Lauren, I need you to do something for me. Anything. Go to my house before the new owners take possession. In my bedroom closet, top shelf, there's a fireproof lockbox. The combination is 07-14-2016, Sophie's birthday. Inside that box is a folder labeled House Documents. Bring me everything in that folder. Diana, the house is locked. Marcus changed the locks before he left. Break a window. I don't care. I need those documents. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she smiled. A fierce, protective smile I recognized from our childhood when she used to defend me from bullies. I'll get them, she said. I'll get them today. After she left, I picked up my phone, the one the paramedics had found in my car, and my parents had brought to the hospital. I had 17 missed calls from Marcus, all from before the accident, not one call after. He hadn't even bothered to check if I was alive. I opened my contacts and scrolled to a name I hadn't looked at in years. Robert Chen, real estate attorney. He'd handled the purchase of my house 7 years ago. I didn't know if he'd remember me, but I was about to find out. The call went to voicemail. I left a message. Mr. Chen, this is Diana Monroe. You helped me buy my house on North 56th Street 7 years ago. I don't know if you remember me, but I need your help. My ex-husband sold my house while I was in a coma, and I need to know if there's any way to stop it. Please call me back. It's urgent. Then I waited. The afternoon crawled by. Dr. Patel came to check on me and frowned at my elevated blood pressure. Diana, you need to rest. Your body is trying to heal. I'll rest when I get my house back. Lauren returned at 4 p.m. with the lockbox. She was breathless, her hands scraped. I had to break the laundry room window. The alarm went off, but I was in and out in 5 minutes. She handed me the box. My hands shook as I entered the combination. Inside was everything. The original purchase agreement, the deed, the title insurance policy, bank statements showing my mortgage payments, and tucked in the very back, in a sealed envelope labeled "In case of emergency," was a document I'd completely forgotten about. A letter from my grandmother and a copy of a trust agreement. I opened the envelope with trembling fingers and read my grandmother's familiar handwriting. My dearest Diana, if you're reading this, something has gone terribly wrong. This house is yours, completely and legally, but I did something extra to protect you. When I helped you with the down payment, I also set up a land trust through my attorney. The house is held in the trust, and you are the sole beneficiary and trustee. This means even if someone forges your signature on a sale document, the sale cannot be completed without the trust releasing its interest. The trust documents are filed with the county recorder, but not linked to your name in public records. Only you and my attorney know they exist. If anyone tries to steal this house from you, this trust will protect you. Be strong, my darling girl. You are tougher than you know. Love always, Grandma Rose. I read it 3 times. Then I looked at the attached trust documents. The Rosemarie Family Trust was established in 2017, 6 months before my grandmother died. The trust held a beneficial interest in my property at 4762 North 56th Street, Phoenix, Arizona. I was listed as sole trustee and beneficiary. And any sale of the property required the written consent of the trustee, me, and the trust's attorney, a man named Harold Greenfield. Marcus had sold my house, but the sale wasn't valid because he'd forgotten about the trust. Or, more accurately, he'd never known it existed. My phone rang. Unknown number. Miss Monroe? This is Robert Chen returning your call. I'm sorry to hear about your accident. How can I help you? Mr. Chen, my ex-husband sold my house while I was in a coma, but I just found out my grandmother put it in a land trust. Does that change anything? There was a pause. A land trust? Ms. Monroe, if your property is held in a trust and the sale was completed without the trustee's consent, then the sale is void, completely void. even though the new owners already paid for it? Even then, if they bought property that the seller didn't have full legal right to sell, the sale cannot stand. This is serious, Ms. Monroe. You need to contact the trust attorney immediately and file notice with the county recorder that the sale was fraudulent. Can you help me? I'll do better than that. I'll represent you. No fee until we get your house back. And Miss Monroe, your ex-husband is in a lot of legal trouble. What he did is fraud, criminal fraud. After I hung up, I looked at Lauren, who'd been listening to my side of the conversation, with wide eyes. He forgot, I said quietly. Marcus forgot that Grandma Rose always protected her family, and now he's going to pay for it. Lauren started to laugh. Then I started laughing too. We laughed until we cried. Until the nurses came in to check if we were okay, until my ribs hurt so badly I had to stop. Marcus thought he could steal from me while I was at my weakest, but he'd forgotten one thing. I come from a family of strong women who always have a backup plan, and his backup plan just became his worst nightmare. I was discharged from the hospital 5 days later with a list of medications, strict orders to rest, and a fire burning in my chest that had nothing to do with my healing ribs. Robert Chen met me at my parents' house the day after I got out. He was a man in his early 60s with silver hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He spread documents across my parents' dining table like a general planning a battle. Ms. Monroe, I've reviewed everything. The Rosemarie Family Trust is ironclad. Your grandmother's attorney, Harold Greenfield, is retired now, but I tracked him down in Scottsdale. He confirmed the trust is valid and that any sale requires both your signature and his, neither of which your ex-husband obtained. So the sale is void? I asked, needing to hear it again. Completely void. The buyers thought they were purchasing a house free and clear, but they actually bought a property with a cloud on the title. Once we file notice with the county recorder and notify all parties, the title insurance company will step in. What does that mean for the people who bought it? They'll get their money back from the title insurance. That's what title insurance is for, to protect buyers from exactly this situation. They'll be upset, but they're not going to lose money. And Marcus? Robert's expression hardened. Your ex-husband committed fraud, forgery, and possibly theft. The title company will likely sue him to recover their losses, and you can file criminal charges, against my children's father. As if reading my mind, Robert said gently, I know he's Sophie and Tyler's father. But what he did was a serious crime. He didn't just steal your house. He stole $135,000 in equity, money that was meant to secure your children's future. He was right. This wasn't about revenge. It was about protecting what was mine and what would one day belong to my kids. What do we do first? We file an emergency motion to void the sale and restore the property to your name. I'll need you to sign some documents. Then we notify Marcus, the buyers, the title company, and the county recorder. After that, we wait for Marcus to respond. How long will it take? If he doesn't fight it? 2 weeks? Maybe 3? If he fights it? Robert shrugged. Could be months, but Ms. Monroe, he can't win. The trust is a matter of public record. He just never bothered to do a thorough title search before forging your signature. We spent the next 2 hours signing documents. My hand cramped, but I didn't care. Each signature was a step toward getting my house back. That night, I called Sophie and Tyler into the guest room where I was staying. They sat on the bed, looking at me with worried eyes. Mom, are you okay? Sophie asked. You look tired. I'm okay, sweetheart. But I need to talk to you both about something important, about the house. Dad said we have to move, Tyler said quietly. He said you can't afford the house anymore because of the hospital? My jaw clenched. Your dad sold our house without asking me, but he made a mistake, a big one. We're going to get it back. Really? Sophie's face lit up. We can go home? We're going to fight for it. It might take a little while, but yes, We're going home. Tyler threw his arms around me, forgetting to be gentle. I winced but hugged him back. I knew Dad was lying, Sophie said fiercely. He said you couldn't take care of us anymore. That we might have to move to California with him. Ice ran through my veins. He said what? When you were in the hospital. He told us we should think about living with him permanently. That you'd understand. Marcus wasn't just stealing my house. He was trying to take my kids over my dead body. The next morning, Robert filed all the paperwork. By noon, Marcus had been served with notice that the sale was being contested and voided due to the undisclosed trust interest. My phone rang at 1:47 p.m. Marcus. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered. Diana. His voice was tight. What the hell is this? Some lawyer just showed up at my office with papers saying the house sale is void. Hello, Marcus. I'm recovering well, thanks for asking. The coma was touch and go for a while, but I pulled through. Don't give me that. What are you trying to do? I sold that house to pay your medical bills. Really? Because I checked with the hospital. My bills are being covered by the truck driver's insurance. Every penny. So where did the $285,000 go, Marcus? Silence. I have bank statements, I continued, my voice calm even though my heart was racing. I know you sold my house that was worth $420,000, for $285,000 to some investors who probably gave you a cash payout for a quick sale. I know you pocketed that money, and I know you forged my signature. I had power of attorney for medical emergencies involving the children, not for selling my house. And here's what you forgot, Marcus. Here's the part where you got sloppy. My grandmother put that house in a trust, the Rosemarie Family Trust, and any sale requires the trustee's consent. My consent, which you definitely didn't get. Another silence, longer this time. That's impossible. I did a title search. There was no trust. It was filed separately. Grandma Rose was smart like that. She knew someday someone might try to take advantage of me. Turns out she was right. Diana, listen to me. That house was draining you financially. You can barely afford the mortgage on your salary. So you decided to solve my financial problems by stealing my equity? How generous. I put $50,000 into a college fund for Sophie and Tyler. Out of the $285,000 you stole? How noble. What happened to the other $235,000, Marcus? He didn't answer. I'm getting my house back, I said quietly, and then I'm pressing charges. Fraud, forgery, and theft. You're going to lose everything. You wouldn't do that to Sophie and Tyler's father? You mean the father who sees them 6 days a month? The father who's 3 months behind on child support? The father who tried to sell their home out from under them while their mother was in a coma? That father? Diana, don't call me again unless it's through your lawyer. And Marcus, pack your bags, because when this is over, you're going to need every penny you stole to pay for your defense attorney. I hung up. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. Lauren, who'd been listening from the doorway, came over and hugged me carefully. You were amazing. I was terrified. You didn't sound terrified, Mainsy. You sounded like Grandma Rose. That made me smile. She'd have been so much scarier. True, but she'd be proud of you. 2 days later, the response came, not from Marcus directly, but from his lawyer, a woman named Sandra Ortiz with an office in Scottsdale. Robert called me after reviewing the response. Miss Monroe, we have a problem. My stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Marcus is claiming the trust was created after the sale, not before. He's saying you fabricated the trust documents to void a legitimate sale. His lawyer has filed a motion requesting forensic examination of all trust documents and is accusing you of fraud. That's insane. The trust was created in 2017. It's been on file with the county for 7 years. I know, and we'll prove it, but this is going to drag things out. Marcus is fighting dirty. He's also filed a counter motion claiming you're mentally incompetent to manage your affairs due to the brain injury and requesting guardianship of the children. The room started spinning. He's trying to take Sofia and Tyler? He's trying to pressure you into dropping the case. If you back down on the house, he'll likely drop the custody motion. It's a tactic. I won't back down. I didn't think you would. But Diana, I need to warn you, this is going to get ugly. Marcus is going to drag your medical records into court. He's going to claim you can't care for the kids. He's going to paint you as unstable and vengeful. Let him. I have the truth on my side. Truth doesn't always win in family court. We need to be strategic. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in the narrow guest bed at my parents' house, listening to Tyler's soft snoring from the air mattress on the floor, and tried not to panic. Marcus was fighting back. Hard. And he was using the one weapon he knew would hurt me most, threatening to take my children. My phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number. Diana, this is Vanessa Chen, the woman who bought your house. Can we talk? Please. This is destroying my family. I stared at the text for a long time. Then I replied, I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of this. But that house is mine. Marcus had no right to sell it. Her response came immediately. I have 3 kids. We sold our old house. We have nowhere to go. Please. There has to be another way. My heart ached. This woman hadn't done anything wrong. She'd bought a house in good faith, not knowing it was being sold fraudulently, but it was still my house. Talk to your title insurance company. They'll make you whole. I'm sorry, but I'm not giving up my home. We can't wait for insurance. That could take months. My kids need a place to live now. So do mine. I'm sorry, Vanessa. I really am. But Marcus stole from me, and I'm taking back what's mine. She didn't respond after that. The forensic document examination was scheduled for the following week. Robert assured me it would prove the trust was created in 2017, not recently fabricated. But the waiting was excruciating. Sophie started having nightmares. Tyler stopped eating. My mother kept giving me worried looks when she thought I wasn't watching. You look exhausted, my father said one morning over coffee. Maybe you should rest. Let Robert handle things. I can't rest while Marcus is trying to steal my children and my house. He's not going to get custody. Any judge can see. Can they? I just spent 2 weeks in a coma. I can't work for another month. I'm living in your guest room. On paper, I look like exactly the kind of parent who's unfit. You're not unfit. You're recovering from a traumatic accident. Marcus is going to paint it like I'm too damaged to care for Sophie and Tyler, and he might be right. Diana Marie Monroe. My father set down his coffee cup with a thump. That is your mother's daughter talking, not you. You are not damaged. You are healing. There's a difference. I wanted to believe him. But doubt was creeping in, cold and insidious. What if Marcus won? What if I lost not just my house, but my kids? That afternoon, I got a call from Dr. Patel's office. My follow-up appointment had been scheduled. I needed to come in for cognitive testing to assess my brain injury recovery. Is this related to the custody case? I asked the scheduler. There was a pause. A request was made by an attorney for copies of your medical records and cognitive assessment. We can't release them without your permission, but Marcus was building a case that I was mentally incompetent. I showed up for the appointment 3 days later, knowing every test, every question, every hesitation would be scrutinized by Marcus's lawyer. Dr. Patel put me through a battery of cognitive tests: memory, problem-solving, spatial awareness, fine motor skills. How did I do? I asked when it was over. She smiled. Diana, your recovery is remarkable. You're performing at or above normal levels in every category. Whatever damage the injury caused, your brain has healed beautifully. Can you put that in writing? For the custody case? Yes, I'll write a letter stating that in my medical opinion, you are fully capable of caring for your children and managing your affairs. Relief washed over me. Thank you. But Diana, I need to say something as your doctor. This stress isn't good for your recovery. Your blood pressure is elevated. You're clearly not sleeping. I know you're fighting for your house and your kids, but you need to take care of yourself too. I will, after I win. She gave me a look that said she didn't believe me, but she wrote the letter anyway. The document examination results came back on a Friday. Robert called me with the news. The trust documents are authentic. Created and filed in May 2017, exactly as your grandmother's letter stated. The forensic examiner found no evidence of alteration or backdating. Marcus's claim of fabrication is dead in the water. So we can void the sale? The judge is reviewing everything now. We have a hearing scheduled for Monday. If the judge rules in our favor, and I'm confident he will, the sale will be voided, the property will be restored to your name, and Marcus will be on the hook for fraud. What about the custody motion? With Dr. Patel's letter and the proof that Marcus committed fraud, his custody claim is weak. But we won't know for sure until the hearing. Monday, 4 days away. 4 more days of not knowing if I'd get my house back. 4 more days of watching my kids worry. Sophie found me that night sitting on the back patio of my parents' house, staring at the stars. Mom, are you okay? Just thinking, baby. She sat down next to me. Dad called today. He said if you drop the case, he'll give us the house, that we can all move in together again like before. My blood ran cold. He said what? He said he made a mistake selling it, that he was trying to help but did it the wrong way, that if you forgive him, everything can go back to normal. Marcus was trying to manipulate my daughter, using her to get me to back down. Sophie, look at me. I waited until she met my eyes. Your dad didn't make a mistake. He stole from us, and now that he's caught, he's trying to make a deal. But that house is ours. It was always ours, and we're getting it back, without his help. He said you're being stubborn, that you're hurting us by fighting him. He's wrong. I'm protecting us. There's a difference. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I believe you, Mom. Tyler and I both do. We just want to go home. We will, baby. I promise. We will. But as I watched her go back inside, I wondered if I was making promises I couldn't keep. Monday's hearing would decide everything, and I had no idea which way it would go. Monday morning arrived gray and cold, unseasonably cool for Phoenix in late September. I dressed carefully in the one professional outfit that still fit me after losing 15 pounds in the hospital, a navy blue dress and blazer that Lauren had to take in with safety pins. You look strong, my mother said, squeezing my hand before we left, like a woman who knows her worth. I wished I felt that confident. The Maricopa County Superior Court building was imposing, all glass and concrete and the weight of justice. Robert met me in the lobby with his briefcase and a reassuring smile. Ready? No, but let's do it anyway. Courtroom 4C was smaller than I expected. Wood-paneled walls, harsh fluorescent lighting. The judge's bench elevated like a throne. Marcus was already there with Sandra Ortiz, his lawyer. He wouldn't look at me. The buyers, David and Vanessa Chen, sat in the gallery with their own attorney. Vanessa had red, swollen eyes. David held her hand tightly. 3 children sat beside them, looking confused and scared. My heart twisted. This wasn't their fault. But it wasn't mine either. Judge Patricia Holloway entered, a woman in her late 50s with steel gray hair and reading glasses on a chain. Be seated. We're here for the matter of Monroe v. Hayes regarding property at 4762 North 56th Street. Mr. Chen, you're representing Ms. Monroe? Yes, Your Honor. Robert stood. We're seeking to void a fraudulent property sale and restore rightful ownership to my client. Ms. Ortiz, You're representing Mr. Hayes? Sandra Ortiz stood smoothly. Yes, Your Honor. We're contesting the validity of an alleged trust that was conveniently discovered only after the sale was finalized. The trust was filed in 2017, Robert interjected. As proven by forensic examination. Counsel, you'll have your turn. Judge Holloway looked at me over her glasses. Ms. Monroe, I understand you were in a medically induced coma when this sale occurred? Yes, Your Honor, for 11 days. I had no knowledge of the sale until I woke up. And Mr. Hayes, you used power of attorney to execute the sale? Marcus stood awkwardly. Your Honor, I was trying to protect my ex-wife and children. The medical bills were mounting. I thought selling the house was the responsible. Did you consult with Ms. Monroe's family before selling her primary residence? No, Your Honor. There wasn't time. The bills were covered by insurance, Judge Holloway said, reading from a document. According to hospital records, Ms. Monroe's medical expenses were fully covered by the at-fault driver's liability policy, so your justification doesn't hold. Sandra Ortiz jumped in. Your Honor, Mr. Hayes acted in good faith based on the information he had at the time. Good faith? I couldn't stop myself. He sold my house for $135,000 less than market value. Where did that money go? Miss Monroe, please. Judge Holloway's voice was firm but not unkind. You'll have your opportunity to speak. Robert presented our case methodically. The trust documents. The forensic analysis proving they were created in 2017. Harold Greenfield's affidavit confirming he'd established the trust. My grandmother's letter. The property deed showing the trust's interest. Your Honor, this is a clear case of fraud. Mr. Hayes forged my client's signature on documents selling a property he had no legal right to sell. The trust interest was never disclosed to the buyers or the title company. The sale is void, Sandra Ortiz countered. Your Honor, my client conducted a standard title search before the sale. Nothing indicated a trust interest. If this trust existed, why wasn't it properly disclosed in public records? It was filed with the county recorder, Robert said. The filing is a matter of public record. Mr. Hayes simply didn't do his due diligence. Judge Holloway reviewed the documents in silence for what felt like an eternity. Then she looked up. The forensic evidence is compelling. The trust appears to be legitimate and predates the sale by 7 years. However, she paused, and my stomach dropped. I'm troubled by several factors. Ms. Monroe, why didn't you mention this trust when you purchased the property? Why wasn't it listed on your mortgage application? I looked at Robert, panicked. He stood quickly. Your Honor, the trust is a beneficial interest, not a legal title holder. Ms. Monroe wouldn't necessarily have disclosed it on a mortgage application, wouldn't necessarily or deliberately concealed it. I didn't conceal anything. I stood up without thinking. I didn't even know about the trust until I found my grandmother's letter. She set it up without telling me, to protect me. Without telling you? Judge Holloway frowned. That's highly unusual. Sandra Ortiz seized the moment. Your Honor, this raises serious questions about the trust's legitimacy. A secret trust that Ms. Monroe claims to have known nothing about, conveniently discovered only after a legitimate sale? This reeks of fabrication. The forensic analysis, Robert started, can be manipulated, Sandra interrupted. Documents can be backdated, filings can be altered. Your Honor, my client is not a criminal. He's a father who made a difficult decision to protect his children's welfare while their mother was incapacitated. By stealing $135,000. I couldn't help myself. Miss Monroe. Judge Holloway's gavel came down sharply. Control yourself or I'll have you removed. I sat down, shaking. Judge Holloway removed her glasses and rubbed her eyes. This is a complex case with significant ramifications for all parties. The trust appears legitimate, but the circumstances are suspicious. The sale appears fraudulent, but it was completed in apparent good faith by the buyers." She paused, looking at David and Vanessa Chen. "Mr. and Mrs. Chen, you have 3 children who need housing." David Chen stood. "Yes, Your Honor. We sold our previous home to buy this property. We have nowhere else to go. We're currently staying in a hotel, which we can't afford much longer. And Miss Monroe, you and your children are currently homeless." "We're staying with my parents, Your Honor." "So both families are in precarious positions." Judge Holloway sighed. "Here's my ruling. I'm ordering a full title investigation by an independent examiner. This investigation will include interviews with Harold Greenfield, review of all county records, and examination of Ms. Monroe's grandmother's estate documents. Until that investigation is complete, the status quo remains. The Chens may continue living in the property. Ms. Monroe, you may not enter or claim the property." "Your Honor, that could take months," Robert protested. "Then you should have brought me a cleaner case, Mr. Chen. I'm not going to displace a family with 3 children based on a questionable trust and a suspicious backstory. If the investigation proves Ms. Monroe's claims, I'll void the sale. If not, the sale stands." Court adjourned. The gavel struck with finality. I sat frozen in my seat as everyone filed out. Robert was gathering papers, muttering about appeals. But I couldn't move. I'd lost. Not permanently, maybe, but for now, I'd lost. Outside the courtroom, Vanessa Chen approached me. Up close, I could see she was younger than I'd thought, maybe early 30s. Her eyes were desperate. "Ms. Monroe, I'm sorry. I didn't know." "Don't." I held up my hand. "Just don't. My children have been through so much. We thought this house was our fresh start. We put everything we had into it. And it's my house that Marcus stole from me while I was in a coma. I understand that. I do. But we're not the bad guys here. We did everything right. We got inspections, title insurance, everything. We didn't know about any trust. That's not my problem." Her face hardened. "It is now. Because Judge Holloway isn't going to kick my kids out onto the street. Even if your trust is real, even if your ex-husband is a criminal, my family still needs a home." She walked away before I could respond. Robert drove me back to my parents' house in silence. When we pulled up, he finally spoke. "Diana, I'm sorry. I didn't expect the judge to question the trust's legitimacy. How long will the investigation take?" 2 months, maybe 3. "And there's something else." He hesitated. "Marcus filed an emergency custody motion this morning. He's claiming that your behavior in court today, standing up, yelling, proves you're emotionally unstable. He's requesting temporary custody of Sofia and Tyler, pending a full psychiatric evaluation." The world tilted. He's using my fight to get my house back as proof I'm unfit? It's a manipulation tactic. But Diana, we have to be careful. If you appear unstable, if you do anything that can be construed as erratic, I'll lose my kids. You won't lose them. But he might get temporary custody, which means they'd live with him in California while we fight this. I got out of the car without another word and walked into my parents' house. Sophie and Tyler were at the kitchen table doing homework. They looked up hopefully. "Did we win?" Tyler asked. "Can we go home?" I couldn't answer. I just shook my head and went to the guest room. Lauren found me there an hour later staring at the ceiling. "Mom said the hearing didn't go well. The judge doesn't believe me. She thinks I made up the trust, and Marcus is trying to take Sophie and Tyler. He won't win." "How do you know?" "Look at me, Lauren. I'm broke. I'm homeless. I can't work. I just yelled at a judge in open court. On paper, I'm exactly the kind of parent who should lose custody." "You're not going to lose those kids. Marcus has a job, a home, stability. What do I have? Anger and a questionable trust document." Lauren sat on the bed beside me. You have the truth. That counts for something. Does it? Because from where I'm sitting, the truth is getting me nowhere. That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying the hearing in my mind. Judge Holloway's skeptical face, Vanessa Chen's desperate eyes, Marcus's smug expression when the judge ordered the investigation. At 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Stop fighting this. You're going to lose everything. The house, the kids, everything. Drop the case and I'll let you see Sophie and Tyler whenever you want. Keep fighting and you'll never see them again. Your choice. Marcus. He was using my children as hostages. I stared at that message for 10 minutes. Then I forwarded it to Robert with a note. Is this legal? His response came immediately, even at 2 a.m. No. It's witness intimidation and custodial interference. Save everything. This helps our case, but it didn't feel like it helped. It felt like I was drowning, and Marcus was standing on the shore, watching. The psychiatric evaluation was scheduled for the following week. Court ordered. A Dr. James Patterson would assess my mental fitness to parent. What if he says I'm not fit? I asked Robert during our prep meeting. He won't. You're clearly competent, but Diana, you need to stay calm during the evaluation. Don't get emotional. Don't raise your voice. Answer questions directly and simply. So basically, don't be myself. Be your best self. The calm, rational, capable mother you are, not the angry, stressed woman who's been through hell. But how could I be calm when everything was falling apart? The evaluation took 3 hours. Dr. Patterson was a soft-spoken man in his 60s who asked me about my childhood, my marriage, my parenting style, the accident, my recovery. Tell me about your relationship with your ex-husband. Marcus he's the father of my children. We were married for 12 years. The divorce was difficult, but we made it work for Sophie and Tyler's sake. How did you feel when you discovered he'd sold your house? I took a breath. Stay calm. Betrayed. Angry, but mostly concerned about where my children would live. Did you consider that he might have been acting in what he thought were your best interests? No. Because selling my house for $135,000 less than it's worth and pocketing the money is not in anyone's best interest except his own. You sound angry. Wouldn't you be? If someone stole from you while you were unconscious and then tried to take your children, so you view this as theft? It is theft, legally and morally. Dr. Patterson wrote notes, long notes, notes that probably said hostile and unable to see other perspectives, and emotionally volatile. When it was over, he thanked me politely and said his report would be submitted to the court within 2 weeks. 2 more weeks of not knowing, 2 more weeks of watching my kids pack their school lunches in my parents' kitchen instead of our own. 2 more weeks of Marcus having power over my life. I drove home and found Sophie crying in the bathroom. She'd gotten her first period and was too embarrassed to ask my mother for help. "Mom, I want to go home," she sobbed. "I miss my room. I miss my friends. I miss everything being normal." I held her while she cried, and I made promises I wasn't sure I could keep. "We're going to get through this, baby. We're going to get our house back." But privately, alone in the dark, I wondered if I was lying to her. Marcus had stolen my house. The judge didn't believe me. The psychiatric evaluation probably made me look unstable, and the investigation could take months. What if I really did lose everything? What if Marcus won? The breakthrough came from the most unexpected place. 10 days after the disastrous hearing, Lauren called me at 7 a.m., her voice breathless with excitement. "Diana, I found something. You need to see this right now." She arrived at my parents' house 20 minutes later with her laptop and a flash drive. "Remember how you told me Marcus claimed he sold the house to pay your medical bills?" I started thinking, where did the money actually go? So I did some digging. What kind of digging? Sophie's Instagram, Tyler's TikTok. They both follow Marcus, and he's not exactly subtle. She opened her laptop and pulled up Marcus's Facebook page. Look at this. Posted 3 days after he sold your house. The post showed Marcus standing in front of a brand new Tesla Model S, grinning like he'd won the lottery. The caption read, "New ride, new life, new beginnings." Sometimes you have to make tough decisions to move forward. Blessed. New chapter. My blood ran cold. He bought a Tesla? A $95,000 Tesla, 3 days after selling your house. Lauren scrolled down. And look at this post from 2 weeks earlier, when you were still in the coma. It was a photo of Marcus and a woman I didn't recognize at a fancy restaurant. She was young, maybe 28 or 30, with long blonde hair and expensive jewelry. The caption read, "Celebrating new opportunities with someone special. Life is about to get very interesting." Who is she? Her name is Brittany Marsh. I did some research. She's a real estate investor, and according to her company's website, she specializes in quick cash purchases of distressed properties. I stared at the screen as pieces fell into place. Marcus sold my house to his girlfriend's company for $135,000 below market value. Then she flipped it to the Chen family for full price and pocketed the difference. Diana, this wasn't just fraud. This was a conspiracy. Can we prove it? I already started. Lauren pulled out a folder. Brittany Marsh's company, Desert Bloom Investments, LLC, purchased your house on September 19th for $285,000. They sold it to the Chens on September 21st for $425,000. 2 days later, they made $140,000 in profit on a house they owned for 48 hours. And Marcus gets a new Tesla and a new girlfriend. More than that. Look at this. She showed me a Venmo transaction screenshot. Sophie left her iPad logged into Marcus's Venmo account. He sent $50,000 to Brittany Marsh on September 22nd with the memo, "Partnership profit share." He wasn't just her boyfriend. He was her business partner. I sat back, stunned. He staged the whole thing. He forged my signature, sold my house to his girlfriend's company at below market value. She flipped it for full price, and they split the profit. While you were in a coma. While your kids thought they were losing their home. Lauren's voice shook with rage. Diana, this is criminal conspiracy, fraud, money laundering. This is serious. I grabbed my phone and called Robert. We need to meet. Now. I have evidence that Marcus and his girlfriend conspired to steal my house. 2 hours later, Robert's office was filled with printouts, screenshots, and bank records Lauren had compiled. Robert's expression grew darker with each page he reviewed. This changes everything. Ms. Monroe, your ex-husband didn't just commit fraud. He committed organized fraud with a romantic partner for financial gain. That's a federal offense. What do? We file an emergency motion to reopen the case. We present this evidence to Judge Holloway, and we contact the FBI's Financial Crimes Division, because if Marcus and Ms. Marsh did this to you, they've probably done it to others. What about the Chen family? They're innocent in all this. They bought from Desert Bloom Investments, not from Marcus directly. When we prove fraud, their purchase will be voided, but their title insurance will refund their money. They'll be made whole. And my house will be returned to you immediately, along with damages from Marcus and Brittany Marsh for the full amount of the fraud, which is now $140,000 plus your legal fees. For the first time in weeks, I felt hope. The emergency hearing was scheduled for 3 days later. I wore the same navy dress, but this time I felt different, stronger. Not because I knew I'd win, but because I finally had proof. Judge Holloway looked annoyed when we filed into her courtroom. "Mr. Chen, this better be good. I don't appreciate having my time wasted. Your Honor, we have new evidence that fundamentally changes this case. Robert presented everything methodically: the social media posts, the Venmo transactions, the corporate records showing Brittany Marsh owned Desert Bloom Investments, the timeline proving the house was flipped within 48 hours. Sandra Ortiz tried to interrupt, but Judge Holloway held up her hand. Let him finish. When Robert was done, Judge Holloway turned to Marcus. Mr. Hayes, did you have a romantic and business relationship with Brittany Marsh at the time you sold your ex-wife's house? Marcus looked pale. Your Honor, Did you sell the property to Ms. Marsh's company for below market value while Ms. Monroe was in a coma? It was a legitimate business transaction. Did you receive $50,000 from Ms. Marsh 2 days after the sale? Sandra Ortiz stood quickly. Your Honor, my client invokes his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. The courtroom went silent. Judge Holloway removed her glasses slowly. Mr. Hayes, invoking the Fifth in a civil proceeding creates a negative inference. Do you understand that? Marcus looked at Sandra, who nodded grimly. He sat down without speaking. Judge Holloway looked at the evidence for a long moment. Then she looked at me. Ms. Monroe, I owe you an apology. You were telling the truth about the trust, about the fraud, about everything, and I doubted you. Tears pricked my eyes. Thank you, Your Honor. Here's my ruling. The sale of 4,762 North 56th Street is void ab initio, void from the beginning. The property is hereby restored to Miss Diana Monroe. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, I'm sorry you were caught up in this fraud. Contact your title insurance company immediately. They will refund your purchase price. Vanessa Chen was crying in the gallery. David held her, his face tight with anger, but it wasn't directed at me. He was glaring at Marcus. Furthermore, Judge Holloway continued, I'm issuing a bench warrant for Brittany Marsh for conspiracy to commit fraud. Mr. Hayes, I'm referring this case to the Maricopa County District Attorney's Office for criminal prosecution. You and Ms. Marsh will face criminal charges. Sandra Ortiz tried one more time. Your Honor, regarding the custody motion, denied. Mr. Hayes has zero credibility with this court. The custody motion is dismissed with prejudice, meaning he cannot refile it. Ms. Monroe retains full custody of her children. Mr. Hayes, you're lucky I'm not suspending your visitation rights entirely. Court adjourned. The gavel struck like thunder. I sat in the courtroom after everyone had left, trying to process what had just happened. I'd won. I'd actually won. Robert sat beside me, packing his briefcase. How do you feel? Numb, relieved, angry, vindicated, all of it at once. That's normal. Diana, you went through hell, but you came out the other side. What happens to Marcus now? He'll be arrested, probably within the week. He'll face multiple felony charges. If convicted, he could serve 3 to 5 years in prison. Prison. The father of my children. In prison. I know this is complicated, Robert said gently. He's Sophie and Tyler's father. But what he did was a crime. Multiple crimes. I know. It's just, they love him. Even after everything, they love him. That's not your burden to carry. He made his choices. Now he has to face the consequences. 2 weeks later, I stood on the front porch of my house, with Sophie and Tyler beside me. The Chen family had moved out the week before, apologizing profusely, even though none of this was their fault. Ready to go home? I asked my kids. Tyler grabbed my hand. I thought we'd never get to come back. We're home now. And nobody's ever taking this from us again. Sophie unlocked the door with the key I'd given her. Inside, everything looked different. The Chens had painted the walls a soft gray. They'd replaced the light fixtures, updated the kitchen backsplash. It's different, Sophie said quietly. Yeah, but it's still ours. I wrapped my arms around both of them. We're going to make new memories here. Better memories. That night, after the kids were asleep in their own rooms for the first time in 2 months, I sat on my back patio with a cup of tea and finally let myself cry. Not sad tears, tired tears. The kind that come when you've been holding everything together for so long that you forgot what it felt like to let go. My phone buzzed. Text from Lauren. Marcus was arrested this morning. It's all over the news. Are you okay? I replied, I'm okay. The kids don't know yet. I'll tell them tomorrow. How are you going to explain it? Good question. How do you tell your children that their father is going to prison for stealing from their mother? 3 months later, Marcus pleaded guilty to fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. He was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison, 3 years probation, and ordered to pay $140,000 in restitution, plus my legal fees. Brittany Marsh got 2 years. Turns out she'd pulled this scam on 3 other families before mine. The FBI had built a massive case against her. Sophie and Tyler took it hard. Sophie stopped talking to me for 2 weeks, convinced I'd somehow caused all of this. Tyler had nightmares. We started family therapy. Dr. Sarah Kim helped us navigate the complicated feelings of loving someone who'd done something terrible. Your father made very bad choices, Dr. Kim told the kids in one session, but that doesn't mean he doesn't love you. People are complicated. We can be disappointed in someone's actions and still care about them. Sophie looked at me. Do you still care about Dad? I care that he's your father. I care that you love him. But I don't care about him the way I used to. What he did broke something between us that can't be fixed. He said he was trying to help, Tyler said quietly. In his letter, he said he thought selling the house was the right thing. He was lying, honey. He sold the house to make money with his girlfriend, not to help us. I know. Tyler's eyes filled with tears. I just wish he hadn't lied. Me too, baby. Me too. 1 year later, I was standing in my kitchen making Sunday breakfast when Sophie came downstairs with her phone. Mom, Dad called. Marcus had been released early for good behavior after serving 14 months. He was living in a halfway house in California, working construction and slowly rebuilding his life. What did he say? He asked if he could visit next month for my birthday. He wants to apologize to all of us. I looked at my daughter's hopeful face and felt the old anger stir. But I pushed it down. What do you want to do? I want to see him, but only if you're okay with it. Was I okay with it? Number. Did Marcus deserve forgiveness after what he'd done? Probably not. But Sophie deserved a relationship with her father, even a flawed criminal father who'd stolen from her mother. He can come, but he stays in a hotel, and the visit is supervised. And if he says one word about the house, about money, about anything other than how sorry he is, he leaves. Deal? Sophie hugged me tight. Thank you, Mom. After she went back upstairs, I stood at my kitchen window, looking out at the backyard where Tyler was throwing a ball for the dog we'd adopted 2 months ago, at the garden I'd planted, at the life I'd rebuilt from the ashes of Marcus's betrayal. My name is Diana Marie Monroe. I'm 48 years old. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, in a house I nearly lost, but fought like hell to keep. Marcus tried to steal from me while I was at my weakest. He forged my signature, conspired with his girlfriend, and nearly destroyed everything I'd built. But he forgot one thing. My grandmother had protected me with a trust. My sister had fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself. My children had believed in me when I'd stopped believing in myself, and I had refused to give up. The house isn't just bricks and mortar. It's proof that I survived. That I stood up to someone who tried to take advantage of my vulnerability, that I protected what was mine and my children's. Marcus served his time. He lost his career, his reputation, his freedom. He'll spend the rest of his life paying me back money he stole. But I didn't just get my house back. I got my life back, my dignity, my strength. And nobody, not Marcus, not anyone, will ever take that from me again. Did you like my story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.